talk.
At first, we hit your gadgets with our state-of-the-art digitalized mobile studio with the debate on the road behind the wheels. Later, we launched our magnificent studios located on Plot 1A, Sewagude Close, Lukulinanganda, Machinde, Kampala, where we bring to you our must-watch shows like The Mighty Drive, Monday to Friday, 8 a.m., Hotline, Mondays, 7 p.m. As for legal matters, Twins at Bar, Tuesdays, 11 a.m. Wednesdays, 6 p.m. is Afro-Caribbean Link, where we connect Africa with the Caribbean. Voltage on Thursdays, 7 p.m., featuring a youthful panel. Interface with Dr. Kiza Besije every Friday, 12 p.m. with his call to action against injustices. Snap Talk, Saturdays, 6 p.m. with the trio. A must-watch, The Political Dice, Sundays, 8 p.m. with the duo that never stammers, and so much more. Watch us live on all our social media platforms. We are the Alternative Digitalk. Real issues, real talk.
The Alternative Digitalk. Real issues, real talk.
Good morning, Uganda, and welcome to this edition of the Mighty Drive Show. My name is Karuhanga, Edgar, Mathew, and you're tuning in right here on Digitalk TV for another insightful episode of the Mighty Drive Show. We air every Monday to Friday, starting from 8 to 10 a.m. We have non-stop information where we give you adequate information that we believe will help you make an informed decision at the end of the day. My name is Edgar Mathew Karuhanga. I'm always here with you every particular weekday. And of course, we have a commitment to break down having a conversation with this country. And we believe that everything we say here shall maybe sustainably create an impact that is going to change this country, not for only today, but also for the generations to come. If you are tuning in for the very first time, this is not the only program that we have. We have various programs that we host at various times in various days. Now, starting on, as I told you, every weekday, we have a morning show, which is the Mighty Drive Show, airs from 8 to 10 a.m. Then on Tuesday, Twins at Bar, 11 a.m. Then the Afro-Caribbean Link returns on Wednesday, that is in the evening. And of course, the Voltage Show, a youthful panel, and of course, discussions among the youth, especially in Uganda, on how we can change the political direction of Uganda. That is the Voltage Show every evening, hosted by one Lilian Mumbeja Luede. Then on Friday, we return with Dr. Kiza Besije in the Interface Show that airs every Friday from 12 to 2 p.m. Unfortunately, for now, the interface is on a hold as Dr. Kiza Besije is still incarcerated in, Luzira Maximum Prison. Then on Saturday, the ladies return with what they call the Snap Talk, and a show that mainly talks about some of the current affairs, especially in family, and of course devising means for how life can be better, starting from the smallest unit of society, which is a family. So that is a Snap Talk every Saturday at 6 p.m. We're always right here. And of course, we are programming for you better and of course adequate information that will help you be able to make an informed decision at the end of the day. So today I have a gentleman called Gumisiriza Jeremiah. Now, Jeremiah is the Principal Communications Officer for the National Secretariat for Patriotic Corps that is in the State House. Now, these people have made it a goal for themselves to mainly try to advocate for patriotism in the country, something that you believe has been falling over time. The patriotism of various Ugandans, especially the young people, has been going down. So we look at what does this mean and how best can the patriotism be improved in the country, and of course where are we as a people according to these people who have been empowering young people to just be able to love their country more and be in tune with the vision of their country. How far Have they worked as a people? And of course, how best can this be addressed? So today I'm going to be asking a couple of questions to Mr. Gumisiriza, who will be joining me in just a few minutes from now. Now, what you can do is just send us a message question on that topic or discussion of the day to ask us what do you really need to know. We shall be able to pass on the questions to the people who are relevant, especially Mr. Gumisiriza and his team. At just 14 minutes past the top of the hour, allow me just go through some of the news stories that are trending this morning, especially from the various news tabloids as we are receiving information today. So in case you want to get yourself a daily monitor, you are going to be having a couple of stories right there. There is the ascension of Donald Trump to the helm of presidency for the United States. So Donald Trump returns, as we all know right about now. That Donald Trump is now president of the Republic of the USA, and in one of his first declarations as the president is the reinstatement or the restoration of TikTok, and a popular application that has been used by various people, especially across the world. Now in the US, in fact that was last week, the US government passed to ban TikTok activities or TikTok as an app in the United States of America, citing some cases of threats to national security. Now, Donald Trump, after taking oath or after becoming president of the United States of America, he has confirmed that TikTok should not be banned and should be reinstated as soon as possible. Now, in other news stories, you can see there is a foiled robbery or execution. You shall see about that story. Remember last week, there was what they dubbed a foiled operation that involved a few members who were killed in Kamocha along the Acacia Avenue. Now, these gentlemen, according to the Uganda Police Force, were trying to extort or to steal some money from some client who had withdrew money from the Stanbic Bank, that is the Kamocha branch. Now, on arresting these so-called thieves, the police was really brutal, and they killed 6 of them in cold blood or right on spot. Now, something that mesmerizes or the uniqueness about this is that the onlookers or the witnesses say that the Uganda police killed these people when first they were unarmed, and it felt like they were not really resisting arrest in any way. Now that brings a question to what really transpired on that fateful day. What exactly was it behind? Were they thieves? Was this an operation? Was this a humanitarian cause, or really can we say that some of the human rights of Ugandans were affected in that regard? So that is one of the stories, as Daily Monitor brings you the faces of some of those individuals. Remember, the police force says that there are still some of their colleagues who are still at large, and of course the police is trying their level best to try to get them in that particular regard. Then still on Daily Monitor, US President Trump promised to give TikTok a 90-day reprieve from the potential ban of the US. I have already talked about that. Then in other stories, they talk about Tanzania confirms outbreak of Marburg virus. Yes, this is also another epidemic that is disturbing Africa, especially in parts of Tanzania. You can be able to just check Daily Monitor right there to confirm the story of Marburg virus that has broken out in Tanzania. Now, that reminds me of the monkeypox cases that are continuing to surge or to soar in the country here, Uganda. And of course, the Ministry of Health, in conjunction with the Uganda People's Defense Forces, have been at the helm of fighting monkeypox. And of course, some cases have been recorded right here in the capital of Uganda, Kampala. So we hope that you keep on being vigilant to be able to protect yourself from such things. Now, at 19 minutes past the top of the hour, you're still watching the Mighty Drive show on this 21st day of January. The year is 2025. I just want to remind you that we are in a new year. And if you're just joining us, today we are having a gentleman who is the Principal Communications Officer for the National Secretariat for Patriotism Corps, that is branch based in the State House. So he's going to be telling us what are some of the impacts or effects of the patriotism courses that have been carried out over time in Uganda. Then in other stories, according to the schedule, the PLE results, the PLE students who sat for the PLE, that was the primary leaving examinations, shall be returning to school on the 10th of February, that is next month. So if you have any student in trying to access higher level education, it is pertinent that on the 10th of February they'll be returning back to school to commence their first term in secondary school. Then top Ruchiga bosses clash over gaps in service delivery. You can go and read what is happening in Ruchiga district, as there are some confusions that are in that part of the country. Then just neighboring Ruchiga district reminds me of Konjiri about a controversy that is still running down there amidst some two political leaders. A lot of controversies in rural Uganda. Then ministry illegally issuing sugar mill licenses. Court rules on that story. So if you are dealing in sugar, especially sugarcane growers and of course processors, there is a story right there. Then there's a man arrested over raping a 90-year-old woman. That is in Kamuli district. You can be able to read about this gentleman who unfortunately raped a 90-year-old woman. Then a story of Immaculate Babidie, who foresaw her parents' financial struggles and looked for jobs to support her education journey. Go read about her. She tells her story in what really transpired right there. Maybe I'll just check on lastly the new vision to confirm what the government newspaper has got for us this morning before we welcome our guest for the day. I told you that today we have Mr. Ian Gumisiriza Jeremiah, who is the Principal Accounting Officer for the National Patriotism Corps, National Secretariat for Patriotism Corps, that is a base that is in State House. The new vision has, of course, Trump. What Uganda expects, that is the headline. Everybody's talking about Trump, who is going to be reinstated or who is coming back in power in what they call a historical comeback. Nobody has seen that in the recent past. Then there is a story here of Father Chibi, who calls for youth participation, especially in church work. He urges parents to encourage young people to take part in things like that, or in church activities right there. Then the ex-member of Parliament Karuhanga served with dignity. That is Thomas Tayewa talking about the ex-member of Parliament Karuhanga, who passed on earlier last week. Then fishermen in Buvuma Islands have been issued restrictions prohibiting the storage and sale of petroleum products within residential areas. This is not only really about the people of the fishermen of Buvuma. No, even generally this is not allowed these days, according to the new pronouncements that were made by President. That was last year, if you can remember. It's not allowed to have large volumes of petroleum products. In fact, these days, if you go to a petrol station, you're not even allowed to take fuel in jerry cans. That is something that is not new to the country. It has been here. Then residents flock to register for the Electoral Commission or check their registers. Remember, I told you yesterday that the checking of the electoral register has commenced in Uganda, especially in all parts of the country. So what you can do is just go to any polling station, or your polling station, by the way, or where you vote from, and be able to check through those lists to confirm if you are eligible to vote come next year in January when Uganda goes for the polls. So that is something that is in the pipeline. So residents flock to register. That is as the Electoral Commission launches TESO exercise. Go check. In fact, some of this, the information and the news that we are getting is that some people yesterday went to their polling stations, but were not able to find those lists ready, and they were promised that they will be ready today. So we hope that the Electoral Commission is working on that. Then there is a fire that has gutted an apartment building in Soroti City, unfortunately. So the good thing is that nobody has died in this fire, but a lot of property has been destroyed by the fire. Lastly, they also talk about how Tanzania has confirmed Marburg as it's out, and of course FDC Katonga concerned over registration day. And just maybe to highlight lastly the concern that has been raised by the lawyers of Dr. Kiza Besigye, who are saying this gentleman is being treated in not a very good way. That in prison he is also in another prison, and he's not allowed to access fellow inmates. He is not allowed to have face-to-face conversations. He is behind a glass bar, and he has to use a telephone booth to be able to talk to the people. And many have said that he has even started to be on a hunger strike, saying that he cannot eat the food that has been given to him, especially in prison, citing out some threats to his life. And this confirms, or this also comes at a time when the wife of Dr. Besigye came out to strongly say that Dr. Besigye wants to be killed, or someone wants to kill Dr. Besigye, and she was pertinent and really intentional about saying that Dr. Besigye's life is under threat. So if Dr. Besigye is on strike, a hunger strike, and of course these threats are coming in here and there, it is really sad for the democratic process of the country. And remember, for those who don't know, Dr. Besigye was abducted from Kenya, Nairobi last year, and whisked to Uganda and charged with various cases, one being possession of weapons, then mobilizing for resources to take power, take over government, and then the last amended charge that was put on that amended charge sheet was treachery. And of course there's another gentleman from the Uganda People's Defense Forces, a soldier known as Captain Dennis Ola, who was also amended to be added to that particular charge sheet that Dr. Besigye is facing. So we wait to see next month how it will go. We have been there trying to give you everything as it unfolds. That's what we're going to do next month, as Dr. Kiza Besigye will be returning to the General Court Martial. Some of his lawyers have argued that it is unlawful for Dr. Besigye to be tried in such a court, and Dr. Besigye has even refused to commit to any of the cases that have been meted on him or opened up to him, that it feels like he is going to continue undergoing that. And still on the case of Dr. Kiza Besigye, one of his lawyers, if you do not know, was incarcerated and charged with contempt of court and remanded, in fact, for the next 9 months. He is going to be behind bars. He is in Kitale right now. That is Counsel Aaron Kiza, one of the lead counsels. And of course the main issue that was brought upon him is that he had contempt of court, and of course he did not respect the court proceedings here and there. That is what is happening in Uganda for now. And of course, for those who NUP diehards or members, the principal, that is Robert Chagulanyi Sentamu, returned yesterday after a trip that he has had in Dubai, following what he wanted to do, what he dubbed as meeting up with the diaspora members. We saw him linking up with them, and saw a bit of some music videos here and there, him singing for them. So he returned yesterday, and aboard flight was Kapere, one of his friends and close allies who traveled with him for that particular engagement. So that is it from the entire news team. I think this is what we can go with for now. But we take a break. I told you today we're talking about patriotism and everything patriotism, and that's why we have Ian Gumisiriza Jeremiah, who is the Principal Communications Officer for the National Secretariat for Patriotism Corps that is in the State House. We talk about the impact of these patriotic lessons, and is it really lessons or indoctrination? That and much more coming your way. Let's take a break right about now.
The Alternative Dig Talk. Real issues, real talk.
Hi Rogers, can I ask you something?
Shoot.
What does corruption mean?
Well, summarily, corruption is abuse of public power for personal gain or for the benefit of a group to which one owes allegiance. For example, when a public office is abused by an official accepting or soliciting a bribe. By the way, private people can be corrupt too, like bribing police officers to escape fines.
Okay. So exactly how does that concern me?
Well, do you pay taxes?
I guess, yeah. What does that have to do with this?
Everything. Because those taxes you pay are supposed to facilitate services you use, like water, electricity, roads construction, medicines in hospitals, name it.
Okay, that is much bigger than I thought. But it can be stopped, right?
Well, yes it can, although it may not be as easy as it sounds. And here is the reason why. Corruption roots are grounded in our country's social, political, economic, bureaucratic traditions and policies.
So, what has kept it going this long? I mean, why don't we stop it?
Well, the main reason why it has been here for so long is because institutions are weak, either as a result of poorly defined ethical standards of public service, weak administrative and financial systems, or ineffective watchdog agencies.
What can we do to stop it?
At a national level, we must focus on strengthening the independence and effectiveness of public institutions that fight corruption. At a personal level, we must commit to never giving a bribe.
I promise I'll never give a bribe.
Well, that's a great decision you have made. Me and you now have to spread this message to all our friends. If we all do our part, corruption will be no more.
This message is brought to you by Alternative Digitalk. At first, we hit your gadgets with our state-of-the-art digitalized mobile studio with the debate on the road behind the wheels. Later, we launched our magnificent studios located on Plot 1A, Sewagude Close, Lukulinanganda, Machindye, Kampala, where we bring to you our must-watch shows like The Mighty Drive, Monday to Friday, 8 a.m., Hotline, Mondays, 7 p.m. As for legal matters, Twins at Bar, Tuesdays, 11 a.m. Wednesdays, 6 p.m. is Afro-Caribbean Link, where we connect Africa with the Caribbean. Voltage on Thursdays, 7 p.m., featuring a youthful panel. Interface with Dr. Kiza Besije every Friday, 12 p.m. with his call to action against injustices. Snap Talk, Saturdays, 6 p.m. with the trio. A must-watch, The Political Dice, Sundays, 8 p.m. with the duo that never stammers, and so much more. Watch us live on all our social media platforms. We are the Alternative Digitalk. Real issues, real talk.
Hey Teddy, have you noticed how little attention science and health issues get in the media?
Totally. Edgar, yet science information is very important.
Yeah, for sure. That's why the Health Journalists Network is here.
How can they help?
They are a group of journalists dedicated to advancing public understanding of healthcare issues through impactful reporting on health and science.
Oh, really?
Yes, they meet up every month with scientists and researchers, policymakers, and activists at the Science Media Cafes. They then relay what they discuss to the public.
Does that benefit us?
Oh yes, very much so. This helps with health and science literacy for a healthy Ugandan society.
Okay. I love getting informed about science and health issues. Health information makes all the difference between life and death. I'll look them up and engage them.
That's great. They are based all over the country.
Oh, okay. That's interesting, and they should be making real impact.
They are empowering health communities through journalism. Journalists can save lives just like doctors.
Go to the church, though.
Tolly man, what's up?
Man, can you imagine people just dump everywhere? Someone drinks water and throws the bottle wherever.
Come on, Rogers. What else do you expect people to do with an empty bottle?
Simanya now, recorder. Do you know that plastics take at least 450 years to decompose?
What? That's a long time.
Exactly. Because plastics are made out of a lightweight and flexible material that doesn't decompose easily. And plastics everywhere in the environment cause plastic pollution.
What is plastic pollution now?
It is the accumulation of plastic waste in the environment, like bottles, polythene bags, straws. All of these contribute to plastic pollution.
I have been using them without knowing their effect.
Yeah, a lot of people have. Plastics are a danger to the ecosystem, both on land and in water.
So how can we overcome this problem? Is there something we can do?
Oh yes, we can reduce by minimizing the use of plastics, reuse by repurposing them, or recycle by collecting and processing them into new products.
Everyone wants to change the world, but no one wants to change themselves for the world.
How about we change our habits for the world?
And it starts with me and you.
This message is brought to you by Alternative Digital.
Are you craving for that special meal that will entice your taste buds and leave you with lasting thrilling memories? Look no further. Spice Island Bulenga has got your answer. Natural, fresh and delicious juice, the best meals. Don't miss our daily specials from Monday to Sunday. Pizza Wednesday, Saturday Pizza Bonanza, you buy one and take two. Come dine with us and feel the experience. We are located at Prime Shopping Center in Bulenga, Mitiana Road. For inquiries, call us on 0704111720. Spice Island, we treat your cravings.
The Alternative Dig Talk. Real issues, real talk.
Welcome back from that short commercial break. You're still watching the Mighty Drive Show. My name is Edgar Mathew Karuhanga. At just 32 minutes past the top of the hour, I told you that today we are having a gentleman who is really passionate about patriotism in this country. And when you look at Uganda today, many of the young people have really brought up a semblance of I don't care about this country for me and myself, which brought up the narrative of for me and my stomach. Something that has really grown in the country. But following a 2-week patriotism training for student leaders at Nkumba University, we are going to have a conversation on this because a couple of leaders were trained in patriotism. The first question is, how is it that someone is reminded to love their country? Is there a problem? What really transpired? And how best can we improve the patriotism of Ugandans for their country? And the other question we ask, when we hear these patriotism trainings, what are they really? Is this patriotism or indoctrination? Are we trying to inbuild an idea in the minds of people in a negative realm, or are we really training them to love Uganda as a whole? That and much more is what we're going to be asking the Principal Communications Officer for the National Secretariat for Patriotism Corps that is in State House. His name is Gumisiriza. Jeremiah, you're most welcome, sir.
Thank you.
Did
so
I get
much.
you right?
Yes, you got the names
Good
right.
morning.
Good morning, how are you?
I am okay. How are you today?
I'm very fine, thank you.
Happy to see you.
I am glad to be here. This is a very good initiative. I've been seeing it on social media, and I hadn't envisioned how innovative this is, so I am very glad to be here today.
Yeah, we are also privileged to have you. How is State House? You know, when we hear State House, we feel good things in this country. We feel it is well. How is Mr. President?
His Excellency the President, Jaja Wabazukura, as we call him, is very fine.
Yeah.
We had him on Saturday. We had a good time with him. We had a good interaction with the young leaders. Generally, we are okay.
Okay, that's good to hear.
Yes.
Let's even start on that Saturday event. We
Yes.
saw you passing out of leaders, a very colorful ceremony.
Yes.
Mr. President was there. What was this really about? Tell us a story about that particular event.
So the Saturday event was a climax of a 14 days training of university guild leaders that includes guild presidents, speakers, prime ministers, GRCs. Then we also had NRM chapter leaders who also joined the group. And we also had Patriotism chapter leaders. In a number of universities, we have Patriotism chapters.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so it was a climax of 2 weeks training. And that 2 weeks included topics, theory, lectures in class, and also military drills. You can call them military drills, but the essence really is physical fitness drills. Yes, to build body resilience. And you know, we keep saying you need to exercise, but we pay too much lip service to it, because when someone exercises, they think they exercise without purpose. So unless you attach a purpose
to your exercise,
to the something you're doing, then people don't see the value.
Exactly.
So that's why we attach the parade, that you should perfect the parade so that you can present it in a colorful manner. But the idea behind these drills is basically physical fitness.
Okay, you call it physical fitness. So
Yes.
I want to see it from another realm.
Yes.
Of, we know that power is taken by that. Isn't that the de facto means of really taking power? So a leader needs to know that those are the default settings.
Even then, it is about the resilience. If the reason you get exposed to such trainings is that in the event that you need to deploy these tactics, well, our focus majorly is in defense of the country, but they are applied even to those who are, you know, on the other side, which we don't encourage. Of course, we don't expect our graduates to involve themselves in subversive activities because of the mindset. But physical fitness is necessary for even your day-to-day life.
Exactly, and it even helps you live a longer life and have greater impact. But before we even delve into those nitty-gritties, how did we come to a point where you are teaching someone to love their father? What happened?
It's basically not teaching them to love their father, but how did we get here?
Yes.
That's a very good question. Over time, historically, we had civic education. I think you have seen the issue of civic education coming out in very many arguments. There is a friend of mine, the team leader of Public Square, Anthony Natif, when he had an opportunity to meet the president last year in State House, he said, Your Excellency, this country needs to go back to teaching civic education. Now, civic education basically teaches the responsibilities of the citizens. Yeah, and as the Constitution says, in enjoyment of your rights, you should know that you also have responsibility to the country. So that civic education was basically meant to teach the young people in schools and enlighten them on their duties as citizens. Now, because of the changing times, the curriculum changed. And by the late 1990s, we had moved from civic education to political education. So some of us did not study civics. I know even you are in my age group, so you must not have interacted with it. So we moved now to political education.
Before we move to political education, they say it was intentional by the system that we have here to not enlighten people.
No, you asked a historical question. How did we get here? And I'm giving you a chronology of how we get here to teaching patriotism or inculcating the values of patriotism. So now we have political education in the movement system. And we move very well until we go into multi-party politics in 2005. Some opposition leaders go to development partners who fund our curriculum, and they say the government should be compelled to scrap political education from the curriculum of lower secondary.
It is the opposition that...
Why?
But is it true that
Why?
it was
Yes,
them?
I am telling you a fact.
Okay.
It was them. And the question was why? Now, within political education, there was a chapter on liberation struggles. If you studied political education, you had the MPLL, this one of Mozambique, you had the SWAPO, you had the ANC, then you had NRA. Stroke NRM. Now, the political actors on the opposition side said it was unfair to them, opposition parties, for kids to be taught that NRA stroke NRM is a liberation movement, not a political party per se, but a liberation movement with advantages. So it means that this political education is exposing the young people to the tenets of NRA stroke NRM, but we, as the opposition parties, do not have the same opportunity to go to these schools and also give our own version. And within that political education, of course, these parties featured prominently, DP, UPC. But the way they featured also was more in the negative way of the divisive politics that were happening before 1986, of DP being Dini ya Papa,
Catholics and Baganda, Baganda based,
Catholic Baganda based Dini ya Papa, UPC is Protestants, you know. So, and these were pertinent issues that touched the well-being of the country and why we had turmoils before 1986. Now, when NRA takes over power, the NRM is now the movement, that is the political arm. But the NRA is the army, which culminates into UPDF.
Exactly.
Now, that is separated from politics. Now, you have the National Resistance Movement, but from 1986 through to the Constituent Assembly, the formulation of the 1995 Constitution, 1996 elections, 2001, we were in a movement political system, which was within the Constitution. And they entrenched it in a way that if you are going to change it, then you need a referendum.
Exactly.
So by 2001, some people within the movement system were not contented. They were saying, let us open up for multi-party politics. And of course, you cannot also dismiss the pressure from the development partners on how they want democracy in Uganda to look like. Now, within the movement, for them, they came with the four principles. Patriotism, Pan-Africanism, socio-economic transformation, and democracy.
Exactly.
Now, for them, they had their own form of democracy that they had put, which was merit-based. Yeah, more of a, not really single party, because even when the other parties were not allowed to operate, but it's their members who were eligible for election. Yeah, so you do not only have to confess that you belong to the NRM, to the movement, for you to be able to qualify for leadership. So even when we were in a movement system, we were not in a single party system.
Yes.
You know, you get it.
We're under the same umbrella, but people have different colors inside there.
So by 2001, there are voices agitating for multipartyism. We want to contest as DP, not as John Paulo Kawanga. So the first referendum, I don't know if you are old enough, the first referendum was the Dove versus the Bus. Now, and His Excellency Yoweri Kaguta Museveni then was on the bus saying we need to remain in the movement system, and campaigns went all over the country. And that referendum, people voted to remain
part of the movement system.
Part of the movement system.
Yes.
Now, I want you to see how, in a way, we don't have a say as the country in how we are led. You know, some of these things are put on paper, they are prophesied, people come and say we have the right to govern ourselves, but do we really have the right to? Do we make the decision?
No, we don't.
Or someone behind influences the decision? Now, this is 2001, I think so, 2001. His Excellency Yoweri Kaguta Museveni is campaigning that we remain in the movement system. And the people side with him and vote over 90%. 2005, there is another referendum.
Yes.
So what had changed within the 3 years? That one you will make research, and the viewers will make their own research. But we have
maybe what had changed is that in 2005, 2006, there was Museveni's term was ending.
Well, that could be an issue.
It was ending.
That could be an issue.
It was a very big issue.
That could be an issue
because the social contract was, Mr. President, after restoring the constitution, you're going to rule another 10 years, and then you shall have one person. In fact, one term. But if Ugandans don't love you, you can go. But if they give you another term, you would leave.
Yes.
So he, in a way, changed the constitution to suit himself in 2005, and I think that is where some of the reasons all the bases came from.
So now we come back to another referendum.
Exactly.
And His Excellency Yoweri Kaguta Museveni is saying, let us open.
To be Jeko. Let's not say that was the word he used.
That was the word.
Yes. It was not about Uganda.
Let's let them go.
Exactly.
But they are Ugandans.
No, but
don't say it's not about Ugandans, because these ones were saying to be Jeko.
To be Jeko. It is not in a good way.
You know, if you are in a house and you have opposition within the house that borders divisionism, then it's better to tell these children of yours that to go get your own homes. You get it? These are people within the movement, but they are not contented. They are saying we don't want to be here. You know? So he says, okay, if they want to go to Bejeko Bakolechi, Bagende. And Ugandans voted to go into multi-party system. So 2006, after the election, the political actors on the opposition side go to these development partners of ours and say, we need to scrap political education from the curriculum.
In fact, someone has already debunked you, someone who's watching. He says, use more of Luganda Banange. But says, but civic and political education were scrapped off by this regime, not the opposition, as he suggests.
That's what I'm telling you. The person is preempting what I am telling him.
Okay.
Let him first understand how these things happen.
The heart
You
behind
can
the process.
have the government scrap something, not because the government wants, but because there is pressure. And this is the pressure I'm talking about. The development partners threaten the government that if you do not scrap political education from the curriculum, we are going to stop funding your education system. And the government has no option but to scrap it, so that we can continue to get.
So it was never so that Ugandans stay in that docile, ignorant way? Because
No.
some people say that this is deliberate, that the things that we see here actually deliberate to keep Ugandans
That's the disadvantage
Not
of
enlightened
taking
enough.
things prima facie.
What do you mean, sir?
Prima facie is on the look of things, on the face. You look at my face and you think that guy is a bad guy. You don't look into the heart.
The quality of
Now,
character.
when people, and people develop these notions, they convince themselves that they are right, and they don't even want to listen to the explanation or to the other side of the story.
Okay.
So now, pressure is piled on the government to scrap political education because the opposition does not want young people in secondary schools to continue to be taught that NRA is a liberation movement that liberated Uganda from all these ills that were engineered by these political players in the opposition.
But which was real? One would call that a revolution. It was at the time, or, you know.
That's what it is. Now, fast forward 2009, His Excellency the President realizes that a vacuum has been created. You don't have civics. Political education has been scrapped. So you're going to raise citizens who have no idea and no understanding of their duties to the country. So he says, okay, if the development partners would not fund our curriculum, they are co-curricular activities. There are these clubs in the schools. Himself, he belonged to the Scripture Union when he was at Intari. There is Wildlife Club, there is Interact Club. All these clubs, when you come down here, you have even in Zambogo, you have Wasogansete, you have, you know, all these clubs are flourishing in schools.
Yes, they are.
Cementing something within the minds of the young people, creating an outlook of how they should interact with the world. And His Excellency the President says, why don't we make this a co-curricular activity? And he calls head teachers to Masaka in 2009. And he tells them, I have an idea.
Let's start from there. Christopher Awasa, you're saying good morning. Awasa Christopher, streaming live from Barara, that is Moobs. You say, I'm happy to see Mr. Ian Gumisiriza explain to the people that have not gotten a chance to know that history from the camp of Nkumba University. It's now time we take a break. We shall start from there, but also ask the questions. As the leadership trainings are going on, patriotism trainings are going on, what really is in those particular trainings? Are we teaching people to love Ugandans or indoctrinating them to serve one master? That and much more is coming your way. I'm still with the Principal Communications Officer for the National Secretariat for Patriotism Corps, that is State House. That and much more coming your way after this break.
The Alternative Dig Talk. Real issues, real talk.
At first, we hit your gadgets with our state-of-the-art digitalized mobile studio with the debate on the road behind the wheels. Later, we launched our magnificent studios located on Plot 1A, Sawagude Close, Lukulinanganda, Machindye, Kampala, where we bring to you our must-watch shows like The Mighty Drive, Monday to Friday, 8 a.m., Hotline, Mondays, 7 p.m. As for legal matters, Twins at Bar, Tuesdays, 11 a.m. Wednesdays, 6 p.m. is Afro-Caribbean Link, where we connect Africa with the Caribbean. Voltage on Thursdays, 7 p.m., featuring a youthful panel. Interface with Dr. Kiza Besije every Friday, 12 p.m. with his call to action against injustices. Snap Talk, Saturdays, 6 p.m. with the trio. A must-watch, The Political Dice, Sundays, 8 p.m. with the duo that never stammers, and so much more. Watch us live on all our social media platforms. We are The Alternative Digitalk. Real issues, real talk.
Hey Teddy, have you noticed how little attention science and health issues get in the media?
Totally, Edgar, yet science information is very important.
Yeah, for sure. That's why the Health Journalists Network is here.
How can they help?
They are a group of journalists dedicated to advancing public understanding of healthcare issues through impactful reporting on health and science.
Oh, really?
Yes, they meet up every month with scientists and researchers, policymakers, and activists at the science media cafes. They then relay what they discuss to the public.
Does that benefit us?
Oh yes, very much so. This helps with health and science literacy for a healthy Ugandan society.
Okay. I love getting informed about science and health issues. Health information makes all the difference between life and death. I'll look them up and engage them.
That's great. They are based all over the country.
Oh, okay. That's interesting, and they should be making real impact.
They are empowering health communities through journalism. Journalists can save lives just like doctors.
The Alternative Dig Talk. Real issues, real talk.
Welcome back from that short commercial break. You're still watching the Mighty Drive show, and my name is Karuhanga, Edgar Mathew. This morning I have the Principal Communications Officer for the National Secretariat for Patriotism Corps that is based in the State House. Now these people are teaching patriotism to various young leaders, people and communities in this country with the hope that they will be enlightened to be better citizenry and of course love their country in a much better light. Some of you are saying we are using a lot of English. I don't know if Mr. Gumisiriza so kwogera kulimi olyanaka olwafu olwawano
Uganda waliwo yagamba ndowooza yali rapa yagamba Oluganda sirwogera ntoronto karutora
kati torontoke kati wetugeredde mukuumulamu obadde mwaka gwa 2009 Mr. Museveni alabye ekizibu ekyali kiri mu ggwanga n'asalawo ayite abakulembeze b'amasomero tutandikirawo wennyini
kati n'ayita abakulembeze b'amasomero ga gavumenti kubanga gavumenti yo you can talk as government. Ebya private omuntu oyinza obutamu kaka kukola bwekyolowooza especially wekibanga tekiri mu curriculum. So bw'ayita ba headmaster Masaka 29 n'abanyonnyola embeera nga bw'eriyimiridde butya bwetuusa nangani n'ekirowoozo at least twandifunyemu abaana betusobola okukola ki okuteekamu omwoyo gw'eggwanga ne tuteekawo Patriotism Club. Yes, ejja kubanga it is voluntary basis, but at least
Those
those who will get the interest bajja kuyingira bakoleki bafune values zino muntu ayagala eggwanga lyayina kweyisa atya. So yensonga lwaki President Museveni abagamba nti twanditaddewo gundi eno. Kakati ba head teacher b'amasomero ne bakkiriza
Patriotism club.
Yes, ekisooka bw'oba onootandika kiraabu ogenda kukola otya funa idea. Kati idea yali emaze okujja nga President Museveni agibawadde ne baddayo ne bafuna ba patrons. Of course olina okulaba mu bateachers bo ani abeera nnyo ku nsonga z'eggwanga biki. So ne bafuna ba patrons. Now ba patrons abo President n'abagamba bwe munaaba mumaze tujja funa omanyi mu maje ne mu movement system mwalingamu omuntu nga Secretary General eyandibadde nga Secretary General w'ekibiina abo be bakwatibwako ensonga ya ideology y'ekibiina n'okugibunyisa. Kakati eri mu movement system mwalingamu political commissar nga political commissar abantu abamu abaaliko ba political commissar mu movement. Dr. Kiza Besigye yali political commissar. The late Brigadier Noble Mayombo yali political commissar. General Kahindo Tafire yali political commissar. There were many. Even the Right Honorable Mama Mbabazi was a political commissar. So these political commissars, their role is to develop. Once the ideology is developed, their role is to engage. They are more like
ambassadors.
They are more. They are more like PROs. They are more like PROs or public relations. Those are the public relations officers or corporate affairs. So your role is to engage with the people to make them understand ideology. So President Yoweri Museveni n'agamba nti kakati bwe munaaba mumaze okwa-identifying abasomesa tujja teekayo omusomo. Naye omusomo ogwo ani kati asobola okusomesa obulungi okuwa idea of where the country is coming from, where it is, why we are here and where we need to go. Okubunyisa enjiri mu ba patrons bano
basooke bagitegeere tebannagiwa bali.
Kakati His Excellency Yoweri Kaguta Museveni wa peakingira, I think that time he was Lieutenant Colonel Masiko Henry
Masiko.
Kati ye chief political commissar. They call him now joint for chief political commissar.
Lieutenant General.
He's a Major General now.
Major General now? Okay.
So biri kumi nga Lieutenant Colonel then Henry Masiko aweereddwa obuvunaanyizibwa obw'okucoordinatinga ba patrons bano ateekewo training ababuulire lwaki njiri ki erina okubunyisibwa mu patriotism clubs zino. Kakati 210 buli somero lyaweereza omusomesa omu, abaali basomesa 2 ne ba students 2, ne wabaawo regional camps. Kati awo yeyo yentandikwa ya patriotism training zino zolaba zetukola. 210 nafuna omukisa nze nali mu secondary. I was in high school. They picked me and my other colleague.
You were among the lucky 2.
I was among the lucky 2 students. So we go to Budo, the one for Central. was at Budo. We go to Budo for a week, being taken through the core values of Patriotism Club. What is the basis? So, after 1 week, we got certificates. We went back to our schools to spread the gospel.
Start the Patriotism Clubs.
Yes, that's where you get these slogans beginning, I love Uganda, I sacrifice for Uganda, you know. And then when we went back to our schools, we had to get club members. Of course, we had the opportunity to share on the assemblies what we had picked from the training and to call upon those who wanted to join. And we started these clubs, very vibrant. But what was the idea? I love myself, number one. What does a person who loves himself do? You don't engage in wrongful acts. You are in the right place at the right time with the right people. These ideas were already being preached in schools, in other fora. But now we come back in the patriotism clubs. When we meet, what do we discuss? A person who loves, a student who loves his school, because after loving yourself, then if you love yourself, you have to sleep in a very clean place. You have to study in a clean classroom. You have to go to the bathroom when it is very clean, so that yes, we yagara. You know, when they say omuntu ye yagara ero muraba ne banga sajja ye yagara kasuti keko ka perfume keko abayina ku busente, you know, akamotoka keko musajja ye yagara emotoka ye evebera clean. You get it?
There is a passion.
So this is what we were discussing in our patriotism clubs. And the fact, then at my school, I was a speaker.
Yes, sir.
But every day you would find me cleaning the compound. Why? Because I wanted to show an example that it is our responsibility. And we started with ourselves as leaders, prefects. You cannot command students to go and clean. Go gendo yere wali, go gendo rongose. Kwatorweyo. Banange munegate ko turongose wano wafana nabubi.
Exactly.
Now for most of the time I was at school, after getting from this patriotism training, I was always cleaning toilets. Because that's what is looked at as a punishment. You know, in school, those who were, these days, some of these Jadens who go to these schools that have cleaners where even the toilets are cleaned by. For us, we use it to do this work ourselves.
Exactly.
But for you to be sent to the washroom to clean toilet,
is the worst.
Nga chibonerezo bani those who dodged the class abatorose bebarongosa toilet. So we changed that narrative to say that, look, we are the ones using this toilet, we want it clean. So bwoba ogenda ogirongosa nga wenyigiramu kugirongosa ate tojja gyonona.
Yes.
This is now mindset change.
Njirabe engeri gyotandise okukyuka.
You get
how you the knowledge you got, you are applying it here.
Now let's go and clean ourselves these toilets. When we reach there, we will see that they are very dirty. How did they get dirty? Because someone came, instead of using the hole, na imirira ku mulyango na akora susu mu karumu konna nga toyina wolinya. So enkeera bw'oba ogenda ojja kumanya nti nze jjo girongosa kati nyina ogikozesa obulungi. Then we moved. I love myself, I love my school.
Yes.
Now a person who loves his school, you are very proud. Where I was at Bethany High School, I even left there a slogan, a tagline, proud Bethanian.
Oyagala essomero lyo.
Nga bw'ofuluma, you want people to say, oyo omwana ava kuki
Bethany
High School. You know, you are very smart, you respect people on the way.
Yes.
Togenda ng'olya mu kkubo, togenda ng'okasuka ebisaaniiko, you know.
Yeah, I get you, sir.
Kale awo ne tuvaawo. I love my community.
Mitendera obadde bakijja mu ggwanga. Community.
Njagala ekyalo kyange wembeera environment gye mbeeramu. Ne tutandika okusimba emiti. Emiti gy'olabaawo ku bypass awo. Here I'm giving you a personal experience.
Yes.
And I know very many other young people were doing the same all over the country.
Abaali
bayise mu kusoma ne baddayo ne bakola clubs nga ziri vibrant. So now we move to the community. Every Saturday we would move out and clean the trading centers, pick these uveras, sensitize the people. Don't litter. Buno obuveera bujja kwonoona obutonde bw'ensi. Bwe bunaayonoona obutonde bw'ensi ate tuba tetujja kufuna mmere. Embeera ejja tabanguka ate tubeere nga ffe abakosebbwa. Kaakati ne tugenda nga tubuulira enjiri eyo mu community as we help them. That is now community service. And also it also stems from one of the core values, which is protecting the environment. Omuntu ayagala eggwanga lye. Core values of patriotism. Ze baatusomesa wali.
Kulaba.
So that was at the secondary school level since 2010 and it is still ongoing. Kakati by 2010 nga tuvudde e Buddo, His Excellency the President guided Lieutenant Colonel Masiko then that these ideas you may not be able to teach them to each and everyone. You may not be able to conduct these trainings yourself centrally. They need to be decentralized.
Exactly.
So now, form a secretariat that is going to develop the curriculum and manuals to disseminate to the patrons at school level. But also you need a monitoring and evaluation mechanism to see these things you are teaching, are they effective?
Yes, sir.
Do we need to, because of the changing times, do you need to change some things along the way? And that is the creation of the National Secretariat for Patriotism. Clubs. Here we are talking of
COPs, yeah.
Then it was clubs. And I'm going to tell you how now it becomes COPs.
Okay. You're going to tell me, but there's a gentleman here who paints a picture, and I also wanted to ask. He's called Sewankambo John. He's based in Dubai. Thank you so much, sir, for watching.
Yes.
Sewankambo says that the people who were patriotic then, Uganda at that time, I don't want to use the exact words, he says the Uganda at that time, people were willing to lose their lives for that country, and they loved their Uganda at that time. That was the previous Uganda. Why is it that today we are not seeing them do that, even after the job that you are doing? Thank you so much, Sewankambo, for watching.
You see, sometimes I love these comments. Someone tells you, abantu bedda.
Ntiedda Uganda abantu bali bajja tebabasomesa kukola ki?
No, babasomesa. That's why I told you there was civics. The Musevenis studied civic education. They studied civics. But I don't want us to go into the politics. The politics of revolutions, because that's what he's talking about. Now, that is a different topic. But you must understand the pull and push factors, the conditions that lead
To that particular method to be
to
applied.
that particular method, to someone saying kati oba nfa nfe.
Watuukira okwewaayo.
There is a pull and a push factor.
Okay.
Now, it is also a cultural issue. Why is it that Kenyans have stronger riots and demonstrations and extended ones than Uganda? It is a cultural issue. It is a historical issue. What is the history of resistance? What is the history of resistance in Kenya?
Country,
And it also stems from the colonial heritage.
Yeah, the Mau Mau, I remember.
Uganda was held with soft hands, gloves.
We did not fight for power.
That's why it was called a protectorate, not a colony.
Exactly. We did not fight for our independence.
For Uganda, because we were more organized, the Buganda was already established.
A centralized system.
It had its own administrative system.
Yes.
Bunyoro had an administrative system. Ankore had an administrative system. Toro, all these areas.
They were organized already.
They were already organized. Yeah. Now, when the British came here, they said, no, these people already have a system that is like ours, so we don't need to dismantle anything. We only need to brainwash them in a way that they take what we want them to do, than continue with their own system. In Kenya, it was different.
So that's how you got
it was, let us make this Kenya a settler colony. That's why now the Kenya Highlands, the Mount Kenya area, had these huge farms of whites. The same in South Africa.
Exactly.
And these other areas. Make it a settler colony. Come and drive away the people, alienate the land, set up farms, make it a little Britain. Here it was different. So we don't have that kind of resistance. The only issues we had earlier from, and also it is because of that colonial heritage, where you have these groups brought together under one country you call Uganda, but then you get the Kabaka
and make him the
president, and then you have issues because the colonial government had gifted Buganda 2 counties of Bunyoro. Uganda and Bugangese, they call them lost countries. The counties, they were lost to where? They were here, they have always been here. Now, you get these countries, donate them to Uganda because they have helped you in colonizing other areas. And then you get the president, who is the Kabaka. And then you have a prime minister who says people have a right to choose whether they want to belong to Uganda or they go back to Bunyoro. And the referendum is held, and the people choose that for them, they are Bunyoro. They have nothing to do with the Buganda.
They want to go back.
And the president says, take your government away from my...
my lad. I get so uncomfortable.
So
you're painting a good picture for him.
I think we will get another time to go into these issues, but let's now stick to this teaching of patriotism. And the problems begin from there, 1966.
Exactly.
It was not a Uganda crisis.
It was a Uganda.
It was a constitutional crisis of Uganda. The framing of the 1962 constitution.
I thought now the 66 pigeonhole constitution is what brings those problems. The
is what now brings what Sewankambo is saying, that people were willing.
Okay, so there were factors there. Please tell us, how do you now metamorphose from a club to now corps?
So now we leave secondary school. By 2015, some of us who were in secondary then had finished campus. And these clubs stopped at secondary school level. So we found a challenge of organization at the university. Of course, most of us who came from these patriotism clubs at secondary school will make some small study groups. Yeah. So in 2015, we convinced His Excellency the President to enlarge the mandate.
2015?
Yes, 2015. As the alumni of patriotism clubs
in secondary.
Yes, we had an opportunity to meet him. And we told him, look, yes, these ideas are good at secondary school, but patriotism is more like religion. Someone needs to be reminded every day. And it goes back to the question people keep asking. Does anyone need to be taught to love their country?
Exactly.
Do you need to be taught to love God? He's your creator.
You should love him automatically.
It should come naturally.
Why do they remind you every day?
But the reason you go to church every day, some do go every day, some go Monday, Wednesday, Friday overnight, others on Saturday, others on Sunday. It's continuous.
Exactly.
You have the Bible with you in your house, but you go to church. Why? You are looking for an interpretation.
Of the mystery
You want
there.
an encouragement. You want a different perspective
Of the same word you are reading.
of the same word. That's what they call now in the Bible spiritually. These things are called revelation. You want a revelation of the meaning of this word. You want to understand more. What is it about baptism? What is salvation? What is faith?
Yes.
But you can read your Bible and get to the meaning of faith. But you want someone to paint for you a picture of what faith is. A person who has faith, what does he behave like? Now that's what we do within these patriotism trainings.
Okay.
We are not teaching people to love their country. We are only telling them that if you love your country, this is what you do.
Okay, first, in fact, that's where, let me first show this book to
Yes.
our viewers. It has the guidebook to the teaching of patriotism in Uganda, edited by Professor Murindwa Rutanga,
Yes.
Rutanga, editor. And there are a couple of people who have contributed to this, and I have a reason why I'm showing you this. Professor Murindwa Rutanga, Professor Peter Baguma, Professor Muwanga, Mugaga, and other very pertinent people. The question is, Ugandans say that in these trainings, you are indoctrinating. You're actually not training. You are creating a mindset of people who are loyal to one man, to the man who has the vision of this thing, and that is Mr. Museveni. That all people that you see in those trainings are just taught to think about Museveni, dream Museveni. What Museveni says is what is done. How true is this? That you're developing cadres. In fact, that's the word to use for NRM.
Developing cadres for NRM, no. Have you heard Elias Lukwago speaking, the Lord Mayor?
I have.
He said, I went to Chankwanzi. The other things he adds, but he went
That's true.
for almost the same course. How come he was not indoctrinated? And there are very many people.
I know. So
I'll give you another example. If you get an opportunity
Yes.
to host the Secretary General of NUP.
I've just said him right now. Hey, David Lewis Rubongoe.
Yes.
He's a product of Chankwanzi.
Ask him how many of these trainings he has attended. There's a number of them, even the finance guy. My friend Council Benjamin Katana. So, these trainings, because someone thinks they are for indoctrination, doesn't make them for indoctrination. What you think in your mind is not absolute. It's an opinion that you hold. Opinion can be formed by misconception. It's only someone who has an open mind that can now start thinking of what if. You interrogate more instead of reaching a conclusion and saying, this is just for people to be told to love one man. Museveni is not a motto. He's a motto man. He's in his evening, and he keeps telling you, one of these days I'm going to heaven. The country will continue. By all means, if it was to go by natural selection, most of us, the young people, will outlive him.
Exactly.
So do I need to be taught to worship Museveni, to love him? I will outlive him. What will happen when he's gone? But the core principle is Uganda. It is East Africa, it is Africa. Now, the things we teach in these trainings is what? Political economy. You must understand what political economy is.
Yes.
Ways of thinking. This is philosophy. This is taught at university. This is purely philosophy. How do you look at the world? Idealism versus materialism. What are the laws of nature? The unity of opposites. Negation of the negation. That there must be continuity. That something will outgrow and then a new form will emerge. The leadership.
People are literally teaching civics that used to be there.
Exactly. And this...
Because if you have read civics, the
book is here. I want to challenge anyone, even you are here. The unfortunate bit is that now you don't have time, you have not gone through it. But I would have asked you to point to an exact point where it says, love Museveni, or we are teaching you to have NRM. The topics that are here, I'm going to read a few. Maybe if I read, they may say I am getting from my mind.
Okay.
You start from
chapter 2.
Where is chapter 1? Chapter 1 here.
The preamble.
You look at those.
So chapter 1 is the preamble, the purpose and objectives of the guide, the layout, the learning methods, the teaching methods.
Just here on chapter 1, what is the
purpose and objectives of this guide, the layout of the book, generic competences which the teachers and instructors ought to transmit to the learners and participants. So now
read these that are in capital letters only, because those are the subjects.
The teaching, learning, interactive lectures, experiential learning approach, video illustrations, storytelling teaching method, group work discussion teaching method.
So those are methods. That is in chapter 1. Chapter 2, what is there?
Chapter 2, the basics of patriotism.
Yes.
They talk about the introduction to the study of patriotism in Uganda, the aim of this module, then the
Chapter 3, what does it teach? Basic
rights, duties and responsibilities of a citizen and the state.
Chapter 4.
History of evolution of human beings.
Yes.
Social systems, that's chapter 5. Chapter 6, Africa's transition from international trade to slave trade. Then colonial history of Uganda, chapter 7, clash between landlords and the colonial state over exploitation of the Milo land resources. Chapter 9, anti-colonial movements, their cause and defeat.
Now,
this is social studies.
You see what they talk about.
Yes.
This thing of land grabbing Land grabbing, Buganda, land is a big issue. What does that say? What does that chapter say?
The clash between the landlords and the colonial state, exploitation of the minor
over the
resources,
exploitation of the Mairo
land resources.
So you have a colonial administration that sits and parcels out land.
Yes.
And says family so and so, you are taking these square miles. Family so and so, you are taking these square miles.
Yeah.
The land tenure system that we have today, this thing you hear of Maira Kenda, where is it? That Maira Kenda was crown land. It was reserved for the exploitation of the British government, the monarchy. It was basically that Maira Kenda. Bali bakaleseewo kulwa n'abakyala wa Bungereza ne Bungereza. That's the land that consists of wetlands, forests, lakes. That's the Maira Kenda they keep talking about. Now you have these square miles given to individuals, and then you, who is not part of that family, you become a what now? A tenant.
Exactly.
You pay usuru to this landlord who never came with any land.
Exactly. But
who did not purchase it, to whom it was simply
given,
allotted.
I know.
And then that's where we have the NRM coming in and saying you must protect Bibanja holders, because this touches on the economy. When we are teaching of social classes, revolutions, 1886 France, 1789.
1789, French Revolution.
It's the same system. To whom did the land belong to?
The bourgeoisie.
It belonged to the church. It belonged to the royals.
Yes.
King Louis and his family. And then a few bourgeoisie. The majority of the people were serfs.
Exactly.
Till the land, pay the taxes, pay tithe, pay gebali, which was, I think, salt tax. Land, land ownership, landlord issue. You have the same here. If anyone wanted to do a revolution, the revolution in France was to change these social classes. Exactly. So that everyone has the same opportunity.
Yes.
Because when you talk of land, you are talking about factors of production.
Exactly.
And that's what we'll be teaching in these classes. So now we are moving to COP from club.
Yes.
His Excellency the President, because this is a presidential initiative, even when it is entrenched within the Constitution, Article 17, His Excellency the President says, okay, now Afande must go, you go and establish study groups and chapters at university level
now.
But now, the idea that we were discussing then was, why don't we have national service? And His Excellency the President said, yes, this is a very good idea. We also know it is necessary, but resources. Because the national service needs a lot of resources. So let's make baby steps.
Before we reach that point.
So we go to university.
Okay.
2019, we had another interaction at Kororo, which was called Patriotism Catch-Up. And during that event, we informed the President that it was also not enough for people at school to be the only ones to benefit from this knowledge.
Exactly.
Because every Ugandan needs to know why they should love their country. The reason is why. You see, someone, when I was entering here, I don't know, is he the CEO? My friend Norman, to Muhimbis. Norman, we were in activism together. Those days when we used to throw pigs at Parliament. And he asked me, but you see what you are doing, you are simply telling children to love their father. You see, when I also saw a comment here, I think yesterday but one, that when you start telling children to love their father, there is a problem
if you
in
remind
the house.
them.
Now, the children need to know that they have a responsibility. That's what we teach them even at home. Why you should not destroy furniture. It's not about loving me as your father. Yesterday I saw here a video. It was a video. Yes, it was a video. Some friend of mine called Engineer Keza, Gloria. She posted a video of children who had, I think, smeared butter and flour all over the sofas, and she put a tag, "That's why I'm still single." and my response was that this is just poor upbringing.
Exactly.
Because if you tell your children that don't do this, if you love your home, you don't do this. You are not telling them to love you as their father. My children know that there are certain things they cannot do. They know that they cannot touch the TV. They can only use the remote to control the TV.
Yes.
If it's not working, then it's not their responsibility to fix it, wait for daddy to come.
Exactly.
You know?
Yes, sir.
So we inculcate these values. When we have visitors at home, you don't jump around. I am not telling them to love me. I am telling them love your home enough, but if you love this home, you must have manners.
Yes.
You don't abuse yourselves in the house. You don't abuse your sibling. And the moment you do, immediately you get a punishment there and you must apologize.
Yes. To learn.
You get. And this is a responsibility. Take patriotism. During this Christmas, there's that young man, I don't know his name, who brought Jaden, and Jaden was trending. Jaden musimanyi takora wet. Jaden wanange anaba mineral water. Jaden. We are teaching our children in our homes that if you love yourself enough, you must wash your own clothes. Now, those who are not teaching them the same, thinking that they are loving them,
that's not love.
Which kind of citizens are you raising? And this is what we teach even in patriotism. I will give you an example. During this training, one parent called. The participants were told to wash their uniforms. And some of the participants called their father. And the father called and said, no, my children don't wash you are mistreating them. They don't wash their own clothes. Is there a way their mother can be picking their clothes and wash them and then bring them back? We told him this is a military camp now. Exactly. No access. You only come at the pass out day. And then we got these kids. They had to wash their own clothes.
Can you imagine someone calling to wash for them?
Yes. And this is practical. Now, by the time they go back home, I am very sure they went home. next thing is that parent will call to appreciate.
That she's now washing her clothes.
Now, these trainings we do in schools, there's one prominent school there in Gayaz. We did a training there, and I think it goes to the theme of this program. The question was, how effective are these trainings? So one school, you know, some of these A-class schools, they say, for us we don't need patriotism, we give value within the clubs, the trainings. If you look around for what I have done personally.
Turn the markets.
So, because that is my community, from my home, from loving myself, I come to a community like Owino.
Yeah, the market.
How do I want a market that I work in to look like?
Are we subjective in saying patriotism only works when I'm helping in cleaning markets, but when I advocate for a better Uganda?
Let me ask you a question. Do you need to the method? You see, for you, there's something I talked about prima facie. You are looking at the placard. You have not looked at these young people are merely being used. Most, even the fourth estate, the media, castigated him. But I have been advocating for policy changes in markets.
Yes.
Recently, we started on borders. If the border is expensive,
yes,
would that be effective? But when they brought the issue, and it also goes back to these patriotism trainings, these ones we hold like at Nkumba, Chankwanzi, Kawewe from us because we don't have driving permits. So he said, why don't you get? He said, the permits are very expensive. It is unfair for me, a rider, who transports one person to pay the same amount as the driver of a taxi or a bus.
Yes.
So he said, okay, so what do you want? He said, we want the cost of the permit for border reduced. Without building consensus with him.
Exactly.
To say that, look, your permit is very expensive and people don't have it because it is. We don't have mandate, for instance, to summon ministers and put them in a room. So what do we do? We say, okay, even you, yes, you are complaining, want us to hear to listen to you. You should also listen to the voices of the people.
Yes.
So now what needs to be done? Mindset change.
Yes.
When that minister comes to facilitate, then you can address
your issues.
Okay. And those issues form part of the memorandum, issues of third party, and why is it that issues of third party, and why is it that me I have third party, I don't benefit from
exactly
it.
For me.
Is there a way you can design benefit from
exactly
it?
For me.
Is there a way you can design more products that are beneficial to me even as a rider? That baba kwa atante muina permit na ina muvuga bubi, you don't respect traffic rules. You don't respect traffic rules. You are inconsiderate to other road. You are inconsiderate to other road users. So there is consensus.
Let me ask you the other
thing.
So
in uniform, so that they differentiate you from the common people. I want you to imagine common people. I want you to imagine a situation where you have centers get wasted there, or maybe get involved in a fight in a bar, or go and do other things that are is for purposes of uniformity and enforcement of discipline.
Okay. So 2025, what's your roadmap?
So 2020 things we are talking about, the suggestions for changes, Your Excellency, let's change here. let's expand the mandate this way. Let's now move into the informal sector 2019, where we said let's get out of institutions. Everyone needs this training. So let's get organized groups and take them through.
Okay.
And now the issue, yes, we were at the other end of proposing changes, but the implementation was different. Now it falls on the Secretariat and its leaders.
Wow, okay.
Uh-huh. That is being